Okay. Hi guys, I'm Twilight Tempest.
And I'm Neko Rin.
And this is Dealing with Negatives in the cosplay community, aka the friendship panel.
How fitting for you.
That's why I wear this outfit. Okay. So first thing we're going to talk about is bullies, because there's a lot of them. Okay, so this first story is about a photo shoot that took place between a couple of friends. They worked together for a very long time on photo shoots, but the one started to get a bit of an ego and bullying her partner into kicking people that she didn't view as part of the community or good enough to be in the photo shoots out, which ended up upsetting their clients. The two ended up having a fight, and the more of the bully one of the relationship decided she was going to scream at her more timid co-host in front of everyone during a shoot. That was really, really bad. But that's not an abnormal occurrence. You will have a personality and a B personality that will work together and then eventually clash. You've experienced that, right?
A few times, yeah, but the sad thing is there's been so many that it's like they all just kind of blend together. That's how often it occurs. I can say this as a photographer. I've seen it happen so many times where two friends start fighting because, like you said, one gets an ego because they start getting this big following and they all just goes to their head.
So with that particular situation, with dealing with the overly aggressive personality, the more timid co-host ended up crying and having a panic attack, which is probably not the best way to go about handling the situation. If you're in a situation where you are working with an egotistical personality that is becoming increasingly aggressive, the last thing you want to do is to break down and cry, because that's what they want. They want you to submit to what they want, and that is the type of bullying behavior that they know has worked in the past for them.
If I may, any Danganronpa fans in here? They're feeding off the despair.
Yes.
They are.
So with this particular story of bullying, what happened later in the day is the more timid friend went to their other friends and they sat down and talked about it, and they ultimately decided that they were going to try and talk to the more egotistical one that was acting like a bully. That young lady ended up getting into another argument because the egotistical one of the friendship refused to acknowledge she had done anything wrong, even after clients had left their photo shoots and dropped them as customers. So the egotistical one cost the partnership clients. Ultimately, the more timid one, who did control most of the business, fired the one that was acting out and brought on her two other friends that had come to support her. And that was probably the better way to go about it. Having talked to your friends, let time pass between when the fight originally occurs and when you're going to actually deal with it. You don't want to try and deal with somebody who's being a bully to you in the moment, especially if they have like switch personality where they're going to go from being gaslight and egotistical, they're trying to bully you into doing things. You're going to want to come back and try and talk to them when they're in a more calm demeanor.
Let them take a couple breaths, get a drink of water or something like that.
You'll have much better results that way.
Okay, so quick poll. How many of you are rooming with people you think are good friends? Show of hands. Alright. So you could know this person for a long time. Never really hung out with them in a hotel room over 3-4 days. You learn a lot about a person in that time. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Well, so again, 3 friends, they book a room together, and like, say someone, like, very last minute, like, maybe a week beforehand, they're like, oh, hey, can I bring this friend along? They don't have a place to stay and they really want to go. The host of the room, who the name is under, is like, they don't see a problem with it, they're like, sure, let's bring him on. The friend did not mention that the person is under 21 and everyone in the room, besides this person that was brought on, is 21 or older. So that was a red flag, because that person should have acknowledged that, like, hey, there's going to be drinking going on in this room. No minors should be able to be in this room while that's happening, or at all.
Another issue that we particularly had in this story, so the fourth friend that was brought in had decided that she was going to go behind the backs of the friends who were being kind enough to let her stay with them, and ultimately instigate a fight among the people in the room, who was at CCE in 2019? Y'all may have heard of this fight. It took place on the 7th floor. The girl eventually got thrown out. So that's how that happened. But it got to a point with the bullying of the person that was brought in to stay with them where security did have to get involved, and the girl was removed from the room because of the toxic behaviors that she was showing and the amount of issues she was causing. On top of being a minor herself, she then brought even younger people into the room when nobody was there. The three main friends who were over the age of 21 had left to go do their stuff for the day, panels and stuff, and the one girl who was also in charge of the room went back to grab some things and found 4 16-year-olds in the room, brought on by the 19-year-old who didn't tell anyone her age until after the fact. So when you're dealing with people in the community, you want to make sure you watch for ages. Younger people are going to act a bit more immature. Everyone knows that. We should all know how to deal with that as being older, more mature adults. The problem is when they get to a bullying type of personality. When they want to bully others to get their way, they're going to become very self-absorbed, and they're going to ultimately cause extreme issues.
And they're going to try to make themselves out to be the one that's getting hurt in the situation. Whereas the host of the room is the one actually getting hurt, because they have to listen to everything that everyone's side of the story, and then they have to make their decision based off that. And I wish I could say we were making these stories up, but unfortunately it's a very common occurrence.
It's incredible. How many people have had to deal with somebody in their room deciding to try and take over the room? Yeah, I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. There's always that one person. But yeah, so the best way, the way that the friends handled the situation ultimately resulted in security, which did not look good on the room host who had booked the room, which is a problem for him. But it also reflected badly because, I'm sure some of you know, there are stories that talk about that fight from last year, or 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still hear about it. For the record, it was my room.
For the record, the room was in my name. So.
The seventh floor curse.
Yeah.
The curse of the 7th floor.
7th floor south wing.
So, 7th floor south. Yes, that is a very cursed floor.
Like, don't say that. That's where I'm staying with my friends right now.
Did you hear what happened Thursday?
Someone got arrested on our floor Thursday.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes, I saw them.
Yeah.
That wasn't for my room.
I hope not.
I mean, we've all vacationed together before, so we know what was gonna happen.
Oh, trust me, we're going to talk about the fight on the 7th floor from Thursday.
Towards the end, right?
Towards the end, I know the whole story because I saw the whole thing.
Yay for being on the 6th floor this year.
All right, so let's move on to our next segment, dealing with rude comments. Yeah.
So, does anyone have any examples of rude comments that you've maybe overheard or have been,
Yes, you.
I've been told to my face that I'm too fat to cosplay.
Oh, I wish I didn't hear that so much. I have many friends who are larger, and just, they shouldn't be told that right to their faces.
That's what we call gatekeeping and body shaming. Which is our first story, so thank you. So, for most of us, raise your hand if cosplay is a form of expression and a form of art for you.
Or even if you just like, cosplay.
Or if you just happen to be a nerd. It's totally okay. We love you.
Yes.
So, this particular story comes from us. Oh yeah. So this cosplayer, I know, because this took place at Otakon in 2018. The young lady was cosplaying as Elsa, but she wasn't a little teeny tiny stick. She was a little bit on the larger size, and we had a big photo shoot. There was about 80 people there, and this gentleman walked up to the young lady cosplaying as Elsa and proceeded to tell her, "You are too fat to be Elsa. You're ruining this for my daughter." Well, no. Okay, so here's the thing. None of us are professional. We're not the characters. The characters don't look realistic.
We're not models. Like, we'll pose as models, but we are not paid to pose as, just do poses and stand in front of the camera and look pretty.
So when you're dealing with somebody who is body shaming, fat shaming, gatekeeping, if you don't know the person, walk away. Their opinion will mean nothing to you. I love all of you, and that's not because I'm just Twilight, that's because you are all fantastic, I promise. But honestly, just walk away. Their opinion does not matter. It's not going to matter next week. Nothing they say can get to you if you don't let it. You want to go with this one? Yeah.
Yeah. And in that situation, again, like she said, just walk away. Don't try to instigate a fight. That's what they want. So if you can just walk away and, be yourself, don't bother with them. You don't know the person. So what does their opinion matter? Like, oh, you don't look like my favorite waifu. Okay, that's your problem, not mine.
Another thing you do if you kind of know the person as an acquaintance or you're not trying to pick a fight, you can kind of tell the person, hey, you're hurting my feelings. Sometimes your own friends are going to say really insensitive things. And you really just at that point gotta be like, hey, that wasn't cool. If they don't back down, then that's when we get back into that bullying type of category, and you need to really evaluate the friendship at that point. But if they're really your friend, they're gonna understand what they did was wrong, and they will apologize. And if you can have that conversation, it'll be really good for you because they'll grow as a person and learn how they upset you and maybe not do that to anyone else. And you'll also be taking charge of the situation and building your own confidence by dealing with it and being like, hey, not cool, back off. Oh yeah. And then if you are working around a convention and somebody is getting incredibly aggressive with you or nasty due to how you appear or any other reason, report it to staff. I know most conventions will take this seriously and they will either talk to the person or take their badge and boot them out. So if it gets to the point where you are being followed and harassed, staff is always there. Staff will help you. Don't be scared to ask a staff member for help.
Especially if you know the staff so much that they just call you, they call you out on their Facebook page.
Not talking about Otakon here. Okay. Instagram's more your thing. Yeah. So it's not just conventions where you're going to experience hate in the cosplay community. Instagram is huge for it. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, yeah, but it really seems like with Instagram and TikTok, you have a lot of people who aren't actually part of our community and don't actually know anything about us. Who's experienced nasty comments from somebody who's never set foot at a convention on their social media? Yeah. So that comes down to two types of people. People who are bored and want to troll you because they think it's funny, or somebody that is supremely miserable in their own life and they're trying to ruin other people's happiness just so that they feel something. Both are terrible people. So the first thing you should do is block them. That is the easiest thing to do. If you do not know someone, they do not mean anything to you, block them, block their comments. I know on Instagram it can be kind of hard. I don't know how it is on TikTok.
How it works on TikTok is, let's say I were to post a video, let's say like you, and someone says, "Oh, you look so horrible," and like, what makes you think that you're the water Hashira? I can just I can block the comment and then delete said comment, and then if it keeps becoming a problem, I can report the account for harassment.
That's another thing. How many of you have also used Twitch? Do any video game or cosplay streaming with Twitch? No? So there's a big issue on Twitch right now, particularly with members of the LGBTQ community, cosplayers, people of color, where it's what they're called hate raiding. It'll be one person or a couple people will set up thousands of accounts and they'll use a program to flood somebody who's live with hateful messages, with racist messages, to try and get the account either banned or get the video taken down, and ultimately just make you upset. You always want to report these accounts, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, reporting the accounts, because chances are if they're attacking you for something, this is not a one-time occurrence. They've done it to other people. And the way these companies' algorithms work is if you get reported one time, it gets blown off. Perfectly honest, the first report's always blown off. But if you get 12, 15, 20 some reports, that's when the companies start looking like, hey, this is actually a problem. So the more people who report something, the better it is, because there's less of a chance that they're going to go on and hurt someone else. It might take you an extra couple minutes, but in the long run, you're doing your best for the community by blocking these individuals and reporting them.
Yeah, because they know once they do it once, they know they can get away with it.
Mm-hmm. And everyone knows the first report never counts. Uh-oh. I think it froze.
There,
Oh.
that was it.
Oh yeah, we haven't finished that yet. Okay, so we're having really, really big issues with the slides here and the Wi-Fi. Oh my God, it just broke. So we're gonna do the rest of this by talking. Okay, so the next thing we're gonna talk about is waifu hunters and those.
And husbando.
Yeah, that's all you.
Alright, so how many of you came to this convention to, find a cosplayer of one of your favorite characters? Exactly. That's one of the reasons we come to these things, to find people who cosplays our favorite characters and, try at least talk to them, like small talk, not, oh my gosh, I love you so much, like, please marry me, that kind of thing. That's creepy. That's creepy. But, we want to at least talk to them about the series they're cosplaying from, like what's their favorite part, or what, like if it's a video game, like if it's a fighting game, Super Smash Bros. Like you can ask, oh hey, is who you're cosplaying your main fighter? Like just a couple examples, but when you start getting to the point where, again, this goes into what you said earlier, if someone's stalking you because you're cosplaying as one of their favorite characters, that's when things start to go south and you should really talk to someone. Or start traveling in a big group. Because if you're just walking by yourself, they're gonna try to approach you more often. But if you get a group of at least 2 other friends, like they can at least kind of form a meat shield for you.
So I frequently wander off by myself, much to the dismay of my friends.
Yeah, could you please stop doing that?
No. And this has happened to me. It was Otakon 2014. I was dressed as Twilight Sparkle. Shouldn't be a surprise. And this guy comes up to me and grabs me from behind. And I kind of push him off, and I'm like, what? What do you want? And he's all like, you're Twilight Mary. And he followed me for like the next 15 minutes. Ultimately, another gentleman that I didn't know walked over and started talking to me like he knew me. And started acting like we were friends. And he's like, hey, come on, our friends want to meet up, it's time to go get lunch. He had realized what the situation was, and he stepped in. And in that moment, he probably got me out of a pretty bad situation, because I was probably going to punch the guy if he touched me one more time. Which, don't do that. I've learned you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, travel in a group, and if you see something like that going down, try to, be that knight in shining armor. Even like, say you're a little 5-foot tall person. If you see something like that going down, step in.
Even if you're a girl, here's the thing. Guys want to approach women who are alone if they're going to do something bad because they don't want anyone to try and report them. They don't want anyone running off. So even if two girls walk up together, you can walk up to another female if you see she's being harassed and be like, hey, what's up, bestie? Let's go get some coffee. It's time to go. You might be getting her out of a really bad situation there. And unfortunately, these situations happen incredibly often in anime conventions. The people who come to these conventions may not always be the most socially adjusted, which is fine. Everyone needs to learn social cues at some point. But you're gonna interfere with people who have less understanding than you would in normal day-to-day life. You're not gonna have somebody, hopefully not have somebody, run up to you at a Walmart and try and hug you because you look like a character. That would be incredibly weird.
And another good tip for this is trust your gut. Like, say, like, you're just wandering around, even though it's a convention, there might be a quiet spot in the hallway that you just need to regroup there. Like, there's maybe 500 people, and your stalker comes up to you. Just trust your gut. Like, even if you haven't met this person before, try and get a vibe for them just by how they're approaching you. And if you don't feel comfortable with it, like, trust your gut and get out of there. Go somewhere safe, or start talking to someone random.
Speaking of safety, who wants to hear about the fight on the 7th floor?
Alright, we got to what people really want to know.
We got to why you all really came here. Okay, so here's the thing. Well, I'm staying on the 7th floor, and it was Thursday night, and Cute Boy Chan decided he was going to text me. So I was sitting out in the hallway, texting and talking to my other friends so that I didn't wake up my roommates because they went to bed incredibly early. And I'm sitting down by the elevator, so I'm not disturbing anyone. And this guy comes running down the hall screaming he's going to kill himself. Yeah.
And we saw Jesus earlier.
Yes, this is how the hole got into the wall.
We all wondered what happened.
Everyone sit down, we're going over this.
I saw the whole thing.
Okay, I have to tell this to my friends later. So they're all wondering.
I see somebody smoothing a closer. I guess we got some good stuff. Okay.
I'm on the 2nd floor. I missed everything.
Oh, this was a whole thing. So,
Strap in.
so this guy comes running down the hall, screaming he's going to kill himself. How dare you break up with me? I'm going to go kill myself if you leave me. Okay, first off, ladies, if you're dating a guy like that, the first chance you get, leave him. Check him into like a psych ward if he needs it, but then leave him. You can do better. Those are not good personality traits. Promise. You cannot redeem them. Contrary to what Twilight or Charlie says, they cannot be redeemed.
I can't say anything on that. Look who I am. I don't want to talk to people.
Twilight, Sparkle, and Charlie are the same character. So, next thing I know, this chick comes running down the hall saying, babe, you're drunk, just come back to the room and chill out. So at this point, I'm like, okay, this is getting personal. I'm gonna go over around the corner to the vending machines that are on the 7th floor. Because I don't know, if you're staying on the 7th floor, you know the elevators slightly up the hall, there's the vending machines in that little nook. So I'm standing in there, and they're like arguing back and forth, and it's just some basic stuff. Next thing I know, there is a loud bang. And I poke my head around the corner, I'm like, what? He has this poor girl up against the wall, and he's punching the wall. Like full on punching the wall. So I'm on the phone with my friends, I'm like, this situation just got bad. And they're like, so this comes down to safety. If you think you've gone into a situation, start looking for escape routes, because that was the first thing my friends told me. They're like, can you get out of there? Can you get to the elevator? No, he's currently punching the elevator. Can you get back down the hallway? Well, I'm worried if I step out from behind this wall, he'll see me, and I don't know what could happen.
No witnesses.
So at that point, I was kind of stuck. But then I realized there was a stairwell behind me. So thankfully there was a stairwell. So I darted down the stairwell, got down to the lobby, went to the front desk, and reported the fight. And ultimately that gentleman, from my understanding, was arrested. But yeah, that's how the holes got in the wall on the 7th floor.
And then I texted you this morning while I was outside, someone got arrested.
Yeah, someone else got arrested this morning.
I don't know, I wish I knew the story behind that, but I just went outside to have my breakfast, and I just see this dude getting put in cuffs, like right in front of the lobby.
So yeah, when it comes to safety, if you have found yourself in an undesirable situation, even if you're involved in the situation, like that poor young lady that was being harassed by the gentleman, know your escape routes. When you're anywhere in a big event like this, and it's really sad we have to say this, but this comes back down to the maladjusted members of the community who may not know social cues and take things too far, you want to kind of know where escape routes are. Like, you know, there's an exit there, there's an exit there, there's an exit there. Know where your exits are, know how to get out of the situation, because that might be the difference between something really bad happening to you and you continuing to enjoy the rest of the weekend, preferably with a little less chaos on your floor.
Yep. And if you're, how many people are here 21 and over? Okay, if you are of age, maybe a little liquid courage.
I don't recommend that.
I think that's how they get into these situations.
How do you get into the situation?
No, I think alcohol is how these situations happen.
Sometimes, most of the times, but still.
Yeah. Okay, so who has any questions on bullying, body shaming, dealing with people who might have negative personality traits?
Or just comments like from your own personal experience.
Or questions about the seventh floor?
It certainly isn't seventh heaven.
No birdhouses.
Okay, well, let's say conventions, they could be big. Now, let's say this might be somebody's first convention. They may not know anybody there. They probably want to make friends. What would you kind of suggest for somebody that's kind of like go to their first convention, like how to make friends and, you know?
So one of the safest ways to go about making friends is to actually go to panels or go to photo shoots. We all have our individual fandoms. Who has a photo shoot this weekend, a group photo shoot? So the people at that photo shoot all have a similar interest that you can talk to with, and then you can maybe add them on social media if you get off really well with them. You can share photos, be like, hey, we took this photo together, let's add each other on Instagram, and then after that, you guys can talk back and forth, comment on this, comment on that. Over time, you'll build that friendship, but photo shoots are a great opportunity to meet people who are like-minded, and it's probably one of the safest ways to go about meeting someone.
And that's how I usually end up with like, hey, let's stay lifelong friends since we made this convention 3 years later, never see each other again. Hey, I remember you.
Yeah, that happened to me last night. There's a chick that walked up and was like, I know you, we're friends on Facebook. I don't know you, but okay, sure.
Hey, you.
Let's go get a drink.
Yeah, and then I had someone Thursday, they were interested in one of my cosplays, and I showed them that, oh my gosh, I follow you on TikTok. I'm like, bullshit.
I love those moments. But another way that you can go about meeting people is if you go to any of the workshops, typically conventions that have workshops will put you in groups together, and you'll be able to, doing that project together, talk and make friends that way. And you should be able to get a pretty good sense for what someone's like by just chilling for a couple minutes. If there's going to be an issue, it might have some kind, like you'll notice somebody who has maybe an egotistical or bullying type personality may overtalk you a lot, may interrupt you. You might not want to necessarily talk to that person and keep that friendship going, but somebody that's, going back and forth with you and you're having a good conversation, that's something to pursue. Yes.
I actually met my now best friend at a convention. We were cosplaying from the same fandom, and he just zeroed in on me and was like, "You, I love your cosplay. Let's hang out."
Exactly.
Sometimes you might get adopted by other people.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like, I've had good moments with people who are like, oh my god, I love your cosplay, and follow each other on Instagram and eventually on Facebook, and become good friends with them. I think that's really cool. So.
Yeah, we're not scary people by any means. Yes, we have our bad apples, but we're all human beings underneath, and if we all like one certain thing, it doesn't have to be everyone here at the convention. I'm sure not everyone likes JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, but I like it.
My Little Pony.
Exactly.
Let's face it, everyone will find it funny.
Examples. But if you can find that one person who loves JoJo's or My Little Pony, try and make friends with them. So just talk about your favorite parts. Talk about your favorite characters. Like we're not, like I said, we're not scared. The normies might think we're scary, but
The normies here hate us.
oh yeah, they want us gone already. Like I was walking down to, I did a photo shoot for Twilight today, and on my way down, these 3 kids are running down my hall, and they're making fun, pretty much making fun. It's like, oh my God, you're wearing a wig. I want to talk to you. Blah blah blah. And then on the way back from the photo shoot, this door was open, like right across the hall from mine, and this little kid's peeking out. And as I'm stepping into my room, he's like, I want to ask him why he's dressed up. Like, some normies are actually interested. Some are afraid. Some are, they just want to make fun of us. Let them make fun of us.
Yes.
The bathroom.
I mean, I agree, like, there's some, like, you know, you go to like, some people come to you and they're like, oh, that's cool, you're dressed up, why are you dressed up? Or, I don't know, I have, like, older people. Like, you think old people, I'm not trying to, like, be ageist here, but, like, you think they would get, like, weirded out by it? A lot of them seem kind of interested by it. Like, I have some friends who, like, don't cosplay. And I have a friend who kind of doesn't have a filter, and she's like, I don't do that weird costume shit. I'm like, yeah, it's just like, it may not be your thing, but there's no reason to like judge people. Or there's no reason to disrespect people. She didn't do something that,
Preach.
And like, I've talked to a bunch of just people here on vacation. They're not here for Colossal Con. And like, I'll be outside and we just start talking because it's rather, the door is rather open with talking to people generally. And a lot, like I was talking to a guy last night, he's here on his anniversary, and his wife was like, oh, this thing seems cool, I kind of want to see what it's all about. His wife was all for it. So I told him how he can get into here, like just, he needs to buy a badge and then he can roam around. But he seemed very interested in it. So.
Now, is this everyone's first CCE? Who's been to CCE before? Okay, who remembers the 2018 issue with the normies?
Oh, are we talking about when they kicked us out of the water park?
When they kicked us out of the water park.
What happened?
What?
So, who remembers that?
So I actually wasn't here in 2018, but I did hear about that, and I thought that was so messed up. I'm not trying to like, was it because the Karen was complaining about it, or?
It was because parents were complaining that they were ruining their kids' vacation.
So, here's what happened. There were some cosplayers that were in some much more adult versions of cosplays. We all know those types, which if that's what the character's like, or if that's what you want to wear, that's cool. By the convention and water park standards, they were still covered enough to not be an issue. However, there were normies who felt that their vacation was being overrun and that they had paid to have this wonderful experience here, and all of the quote-unquote freaks in costumes were ruining their experience. So ultimately, the following year, Colossal Con sent out an email being like, hey, this is happening. You can either get over it or reschedule. But yeah, when we're in our costumes, when we're in our little community, our little bubbles, we do have to deal with normies, and they can be a source of negativity towards us. In that particular situation, several cosplayers were removed from the water park that day.
They removed the photographers first.
Yeah, which made no sense.
I will say this, me personally, I don't go through the convention room block, I go through the hotel directly. They send out an email about a week in advance saying, hey, this is going on. You are more than welcome to reschedule. We will not charge you extra.
So yeah, Colossal Con has been really awesome about working with us because they want us here. We bring in a lot of money for them.
To be fair, I paid $9 for a breakfast sandwich this morning.
Exactly. So in those situations, the staff that year were not trained and didn't necessarily understand our community and what we were about and how to handle the situation. That fell on the convention and the hotel itself not giving adequate training. And since then, they have reevaluated. So if you're having an issue with a normie, the hotel and the convention will be more than happy to help you with that because they are now trained to deal with those situations. Yes.
So, when I heard about that, I didn't know about like the normies complaining, but I did think that maybe the pool staff thought that people wearing costumes possibly like a safety hazard. Because you're wearing a wig, you know, it might be harder for someone to like come up to the surface when you're swimming. I just thought maybe that could be that could be another reason. Whatever it is.
Nope, it was over a girl wearing a bikini.
There's this really beautiful spot. I'm from Little Grove, just like near Philadelphia, and there's this gorgeous spot called the Manhattan Historical District, and it has like a cathedral and like this historical looking castle on the beach.
We're from the same area.
Oh wow, yeah, that place is beautiful, but the problem is they don't allow cosplay photo shoots. They have a big bug, they have a fat chip on their shoulder about photography, which I'm not trying to sound like a Karen here, but I think that their rules is like really stupid, and like, so me and my friends who went there, I've been going to this place for years, and, you know, in normal clothes, but I went there with my friends who went there, and this is their first time there, and like, most of the times I go there, the staff is always super polite. Like, there's like a wedding going on, they close up the cathedral, and like, they just approach people and say, we're closed for this evening, you know, just really nice and polite about it, and the security guards are polite. But when we got there, this guy just like approached us, and he was like, get out, get out, get out! And we were just like, what the heck? He's like, this is private property. I'm like, no, people come here all the time. This is not private property. And I didn't want to like argue with these guys because you don't know this guy had like a gun on him or something like that. And I asked him for his name, he would give me his name. And I sent Renathan a really angry Karen email and said, you just dealt with the rudest person on your grounds. We came here on costume. You know, the person told us that, like, you know, they don't allow professional photography and blah, blah, blah. I understand that, but it's like, they don't, like, allow, like, photo shoot type stuff, period. And they got back to me, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry you dealt with that. We're definitely gonna train our staff better about stuff like this. And, you know, because you're wearing a cosplay, that's probably why you got that reaction. And, you know, I emailed them, and then they said, the reason why we don't allow photography on the grounds, like, glamour shots, because cosplay would fall into glamour shots, is because it's a religious ground. I feel like it's like, you know, bringing in the wrong element, and, you know, because it's such a beautiful place, it's a lot of visitors, and they feel like they have to have these moving place, you know, control things so things can get out of hand, and, the guy got back to me and said, well, good news, apparently the guy who you met, encountered, it was his second day working there, so he didn't really know what to do. But even though it's like, you still don't.
How he handled the situation was not
He handled it
appropriate.
so poorly, and it's just like, he was so rude, and, it's just like, I get it, like, he was brand new, but like, you should know better not to speak to people like that. Like, we're not like selling drugs or doing any kind of like prostitution on the grounds. He just completely was freaked out and like, you know, like, I'm calling security on you guys, and.
We're cosplayers, we don't have money for drugs.
Yeah.
So I work with a group called Philadelphia Cosplay Association. I don't know if you've heard of them.
I think I heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, they set up a lot of private photo shoots in the area. I help set up some of the events with them. And what we found, at least with me working with them, those rules will sometimes come into effect because members of our community have stepped out of line and done not nice things. So I know Philly Cosplay Association is doing a photo shoot tomorrow at a graveyard in New Jersey. I think we're in Mount Laurel tomorrow. And the number one rule they gave us was we weren't allowed to actually touch the graves. They've had issues in the past with cosplayers sitting on the graves, trying to get that specific photo. And when things get damaged is when people start making rules against us. But it's not a majority of our community that's doing these things. It's usually one or two bad apples. So that comes down to a disrespect factor, because most of us know how to be respectful, know how to deal with things when we're doing our photo shoots. We've had a lot of practice doing this, or we're getting a lot of practice doing it. You're gonna find that it's usually the more maladjusted members of the community who haven't quite learned how to respect others' properties yet. And that leads into another point. If you're rooming with someone and they start touching your stuff and breaking your props, That's still a bully.
I have a story about that.
Go for it.
So, how many people here have been to a convention like Sir called Zenkai Con? Alright, so this was 2018, no, 17, I mentioned 18.
Yes.
Yeah, this was 2017. I was rooming with my friends at the time. I'm now only friends with one of them. But long story short, the person whose name was the room is the name of, she decided, oh, it's my room. I can touch whatever I want. If I need to move something, one of your props, I can move it. She ended up touching one of my friend's staff props that she spent a lot of time on. And the big, like it was a summoner staff, the big emblazoned head of the staff ended up breaking off. Granted, we had E6000 in the room, but the friend whose prop it was very pissed off. And I would be too if someone broke my prop. But the friend that broke it denied every little bit of it. I did not touch that prop. I did not touch it.
Yeah, that's another one of those egotistical traits that you're going to want to watch out for. If you're dealing with people like that who are constantly touching your stuff, not showing you any respect, one of the ways you can go about handling it is to sit them down and be like, look, this is my stuff. I don't feel comfortable with you touching it. This could break, and I spent 20 plus hours. Like, I have a pair of horns for my Charlie cosplay that recently got snapped in half because somebody decided he was going to go touch my stuff and he shouldn't have. So, unfortunately, Charlie did not have horns this weekend. But yeah.
Yeah, and then this is going back to someone who's a little egotistical, more so just a sloth. I can say I've been this person a couple of times. You all made a room agreement with whoever you're rooming with. Like, so if someone just decides to take over the entire room and leaves you a postage stamp of the space to keep your stuff between 3 other people.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I can say unfortunately I've been that person, but that's just because I'm messy. It's not because I need that much space.
Best way to handle these situations is to sit down and talk with your roommates. You guys are ultimately rooming together because you're friends, unless you went on to one of the room share groups and got a room that way. In that case, y'all should have made an agreement beforehand. So if you do that, if you go through the room share, which is a completely valid option, you can do that if you're comfortable doing it.
I went in 2018, I went through the room share and I found a really cool roommate.
Yeah, you can actually make some great friends that way. I've done that before. I've roomed with people I don't necessarily, actually I think that's how I met you.
No, I posted in the Zenkai group about doubles apart.
Yes.
I've heard of room shares before, and they turn out to be really nice people. Unfortunately, Carson had something to do with one of the problems one day, and he was really egotistical because he took my stuff and I had everything laid out. And, like, I don't know this, and I had been in a photo shoot because of that I paid $40 for. And I said, you owe me $40, and he just freaked out at me, and then accused me of ruining his birthday, and I'm like, you ruined my Sunday for Katsu time. Your birthday's not even until like the next day, and he just was like not owning up to it, and just kind of just like, went on a tirade about me, and just like, I'm not trying to be mean here, but like, he's on the spectrum. He can't really understand like why I'm upset.
He couldn't pick up on the social cue.
Yeah.
So yeah, with doing room shares, you'll hopefully find people who are wonderful who may become lifelong friends, so you don't have to keep using room connect groups. But
And hopefully you don't have to, they keep dropping every 5 minutes.
yeah, but if you're going to go that route, make sure there's a room agreement of you get so much space, or you can't do this, you can't do that. Make sure that agreement's there, because that'll protect you in the long run.
Yeah, make sure you have, like, if you can, type up a document and be like, these are the rules I'm setting for this room. So, like, everyone has to be 21 plus, no one can be underage. No illicit activities, don't bring anyone in without approval of at least the 2 other members of the room. Like, usually it's, create a group chat. Message the group chat, hey, is it cool if I bring 2 friends in for like 10 minutes? If a majority of, like, if someone's in the room, they should let them know. Be like, no, I'm getting changed. Okay, we won't come in the room. But there should be a unanimous agreement. If someone's bringing a friend, yes or no, they can come to the room.
Now, going up to a point that this young lady brought up, people who use wording like, you're ruining my birthday, you're ruining X special event for me. If they're trying to blackmail you by using something that may not affect you all that much, I mean, I love my friends, I love their birthdays, I'll celebrate with them, but if I'm at an event and you're telling me I'm ruining something 3 months from now or the next day, that's not how it works. That's a problem. That's blackmailing, they're gaslighting you. You want to sit down and tell them, not cool, you can't do that. And if they don't respect your opinion, you might want to reconsider that friendship. All of these things are warning signs that somebody may not be the best person to be around. And if you can talk to the person and explain your side of things, you might be able to salvage the friendship, but don't drive yourself crazy trying to save a friendship for somebody who does not care about you. That's a huge issue in our community. I see it so often with so many of the groups I work with, is friend A wants to do one thing, friend B wants to do one thing. One has a domineering personality, and no matter what friend B wants, they get ignored. But they want to keep trying to save that friendship because this has been my friend since middle school. You can get rid of your middle school friends. I did it. It does not hurt. If they are that bad and they treat you poorly, you can make new friends.
Friends are kind of like groceries at Walmart. Yeah, it might be gone. There'll be new ones.
We actually had a situation going back to the 2019 fight on floor 7. That fight that happened in 2019 was actually one of our friends. And the young lady she brought in, the minor who caused the fight, is no longer a friend of hers. And that weekend, it killed her to sit down and have to end that friendship. I sat there with her, she was crying, being like, I have to call security on you, our friendship's over, we're not friends anymore, don't contact me. And then the abusive person continued to text her and call her and harass her through most of the morning, Sunday morning. We ended up leaving early that weekend so I could take her home. But after she ended the friendship, after she got home and she got rid of the toxicity and got it out of her life, she actually became a much happier person because that negative person wasn't there anymore, forcing her to do things she didn't want to do and treating her badly. So if you have a toxic friend that has been your friend and the only reason you're holding on to that friendship is because you met them in middle school, it's okay to let go for your own mental health. You always want to think about, am I healthy? Am I happy?
Any other comments or questions? If it's about birdhouses, you can show yourself out the door.
But people need to know the answers. But I was gonna say, like, let's say, for example, if we're rooming with somebody that just for the life of them, they just can't understand the rules. Like, let's say, you can't have any body sprays in the room because, you're allergic to a lot of the ingredients, and they just invite, 2 other people without even telling anybody, and they all just start spraying each other with Axe body spray.
Do I know who we're talking about? I think I do. Was it Otakon?
Yes.
It was Otakon.
Otakon 2019? I remember.
I remember that, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, so when you room with people, you might have members who are allergic to things. My own boyfriend is horribly allergic to body sprays. We had a member in 2019 bring a friend in who literally just started spraying our whole room in Axe because they like the smell. He had a horrible allergic reaction.
Yeah, so this goes back to the rules of the room. If you make up a document or something, have a list of allergies in the room, whether it be food, smells, anything. List of allergies. I have a friend who's very allergic to cherry, only in consumption. So there can be cherry in the room. They cannot physically consume anything cherry flavored, natural or otherwise.
Yes, so anyone that doesn't respect your allergies, because unfortunately this is a story I actually heard of somebody who thought that the person was making up a nut allergy and decided that they were going to ignore the rules and the person got hurt. if you're rooming with someone or you have a friend like that, that's another bad personality trait that you might want to discuss with them. And if they're not willing to change, do not risk your health to save that friendship.
I think people are gonna get defensive when we call around on something, they're gonna like be the first one to get really defensive.
Okay, that's a given. I'm pretty sure if anyone starts feeling like being attacked, they're going to get defensive. That's what happens.
You wanna try and word it where you're not attacking them. So, Neko, you wanna play a game with me real quick?
That depends. Am I the one being attacked or am I attacking you?
I'm attacking you.
Alright, let's go.
Okay. So Neko,
Yeah.
listen. You kind of came into my room and you brought this person, and I didn't know them. It was kind of uncool. Can we sit and talk about that?
This is how it should go. Yeah, I'm sorry. Let's talk about it.
So like, I got some really expensive stuff in the room, and I didn't really know the person. Maybe next time if we could like grab a coffee beforehand.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So that's more what you want to do. You want to use not attacking language. You want to be like, hey, this kind of did this to me. Can we talk about it? Don't come off like you're attacking them. Don't come off like you're accusing them. Don't make it sound like you did this and I'm angry. You want to be like, hey, I felt this way. And I know this goes back to like middle school I feelings. Apparently that stuff actually worked. You probably should pay more attention to that.
But I've heard a couple things so far where it's more or less, again, how it normally goes. I can't believe you didn't tell me that you were uncomfortable about this.
Well, I mean, you're getting angry.
Of course I'm angry because you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me right to my face.
Well, you know what? I don't even care. I'm done dealing with you. So that's how you don't want to handle it. If you do have someone that's getting aggressive like that,
Walk away.
walk away. Just be like, hey, Neko, I know you're angry right now, but can we revisit this in like 10 minutes? Let's go get a drink. Let's go get some coffee and we'll revisit it. Yes.
What if they won't let you walk away?
At that point, if you are in a room,
If you-
leave the room. If you can't leave the room, try and call for help. If you can't do that, defend yourself. You always have the right to defend yourself. And if you're out on the convention floor, grab a member of staff, grab anyone nearby who can help you. If you feel you are in danger, you do whatever you need to. Staff, hotel staff, they will always be there to support you, and you should never feel afraid to kick someone out of your room if they're harassing you. I did it 2 years ago. I had a friend who was being attacked. She was in tears on the floor, crying hysterically. I had to call security. And those situations happen, but in them, you need to do what's best for you. Even if it means the end of the friendship, you can make more friends, I promise.
And I hate to say this, but yeah, they suck, but they are also a learning experience, which is why we're talking about them, so hopefully you don't have to go through them.
Yeah, we've been through a lot.
Yeah.
Alright. So if there's any last questions, we're about to wrap up.
No.
No bird houses. You guys want to ask anything else? Trust me, I've done a lot of things. I've probably been in most situations. Yes.
I think like, what about like when we're like, misunderstanding when it comes to like roommates, like the payment, and some people like think that it's their room, and then you don't have money to put it.
You have the floor, man.
So if it comes to people who want to room for a few for free, or they're trying to use you to do stuff, because I have a friend who has recently started doing this, first thing you want to do is be like, hey, I get to do certain things because I've done X, Y, and Z. I've been in this community for this. I get to do this because I've done that. It's cool if you want to do these things with me, but you need to either help me out with them or pay your own way. And this comes back to room contracts, agreements. If you have a set agreement and they don't want to follow it, you're going to figure out pretty quickly they don't want to follow it. And if you figure out at the start, you can go replace them with somebody who will. Always have everything up front. When I'm holding a room, when I'm setting up for a convention, everyone is told the price of the room, everyone is told how much it's going to cost per person, and they are giving a deadline, which the deadline I set is usually 15 to 30 days before the convention. If they don't pay by then, they're out. I don't care how long they've been my friend. I will find somebody that is willing to do it. Now, if their mom died or it's like some extreme circumstance and it was a one-time thing, you want to work with your friends, help your friends out. But if it's becoming a repetitive problem, and you'll notice, because it'll start small and be like, hey, you want to get me a coffee? Hey, can I stay in your room for free? You'll notice it'll become a bigger and bigger trend until it's an actual problem. So nip it in the bud when it's a tiny problem, because then they'll know they can't do that to you and they'll back off.
Don't let people take advantage of it. I totally do that.
Yes.
Exactly.
And plus,
Friends.
you only have so many grandmothers.
Exactly. And friends don't take advantage of friends. Any other questions? No birdhouses?
This kind of ties in with that question. Let's say if this person, like 30 minutes before you check in on Thursday, is like, all right, well, I want to cancel. I found a better room for a better price. Like, how would you kind of handle people that would want to get their money back?
So, in my contract, so people generally have 1 week to, if they say they found something better, I give them a week, be like, okay, you have to tell me a week beforehand if you found something better. If it's 6 days before, I'm like, sorry, I hate to be that ass, but you're locked in. Like, your room share is paid, it's not coming back. Like, I hate to be the ass, either don't come, you can bring your stuff here and go to that room if you've paid them. If you have not paid them, just talk to them, but you're kind of locked in.
My contract's 15 days, because that's when I put the payment down. So once the payment's down on the hotel room, you can either go or you can not go. But yeah, so that comes down to room contracts. Yes.
So I had a situation like that over time 2019. Our one friend was supposed to room with us, and his mom is crazy. And so he's from West Philly, we're both from West Philly, that's where all the crazy people live. And like literally like 2 days before the time, he calls me and like, why is DeAndre calling me? Like, check out the thing, and it's his mom, and she's like angry, and she's just like, don't take this personally, but he just told me he's going down to Washington to see with a bunch of people he doesn't know. After he's 8 years old or 8, he's my son. And then she's like asking me what the hotel is and stuff, and I told her. And then she wasn't ready to go. And he's like, can I have a refund? I'm like, why do it? It's 2 days before the time. I'm like, I'm sorry, it is 2 days before the time. I can't refund you. And then she took his phone out of his hand. It was like, this is DeAndre's mother. You better be giving her that money back right now, or I'm gonna bring a legal action. She's like arguing with me and you need to come her.
If you have a contract, she has no legal case. All right, so that is our time. Thank you all so much for joining us here. Hopefully you guys learned some fantastic things about dealing with negative personality types, and it will make your con experience all that much better.
Woo!